we have a drift event coming up, and I got to get this thing from wrecked and ugly looking to performing and ready to rip. So today's video, just make sure that you are ready for some action, brother, because we got a lot of work to do. Okay, so I've already dug into the box a little bit. Couldn't help myself, I had to. And also we tried to shoot a video beforehand, didn't exactly get to finish it, so we're gonna get into a dive here on the parts for this angle kit. Everything is boxed in well. It's got like these nice bags and stuff, so yeah, we're gonna start looking at this kit. All right, so we got our tie rods here. Really interesting thing about these is the angle of the way it mounts. So instead of behind trying to stick out to where it's just moving in a linear way this way, with it being offset like this, it's almost like it's going to offset the direction of the pull of it. So whenever it's trying to force itself to pull back, the angle of this is going to allow it to feel a little bit more free. We tested that on our demo cars and it turned out great. Also too, just check out the quality of the CNC work on here. Looks amazing. The flow of it feels good. So this is gonna be a key part of what makes the wild way better than the mild. But even the mild still better than the previous stuff. Like it's an insane change here. And my boy Matthew did a good job at working on this stuff. We got our spindle adapter. This is what's going to make it mount to the control arm and mount to the spindles, and has a positive and negative Ackerman sled up. So you get your Ackerman slugs, this one would be in neutral, places end flush, throw your bolt through it, and this allows you to be able to make your adjustments. Really clean idea. The process of it looks good. The machine work on this thing looks insane. Let's see what we got in here. It feels like another one. Got one more for the other side. Here's the top hats. So this is gonna make it really nice to where you can relocate the positioning of the strut. So what that's going to do is change a lot more on the geometry, changes caster angle a little bit. That's going to give you a much snappier feeling in drift. Like self-steers a little bit better. And two, like just look at the quality of this thing. Like it's all billet. The machine marks are good. Like a good way to know good machining, at least from my experience that I've noticed, is like just even in the threads, like it's just so smooth. It feels like butter. Glides in and out. Comes with a bolt kit. Little spacers, so that way you don't have to, I'm used to having to be able to machine them, but looks like we're not gonna have to do that with this kit. Some grade A bolts. These Mustangs are actually through bolted, so throwing them through is easy. The only bad part that I don't like about through bolt is that, well, now you have to have 2 wrenches on at one time before you could just throw an impact, take it off like on 550s and stuff, which makes it nicer. Here's the other top hat. Look at that, dude. So pretty. They did such a good job. Got our other tie rod. This is the misalignment spacer bag and the I can't think of it, the slugs, you know. alignment slugs. These are the spacers for like tie rods. So they look like this. What this will do, depending on how this is mounted, I'll have to look at it once we put it on, but that would change your positioning for how low the tie rod goes, and the position of where this moves down will change your bump steer. It will change the flow of the geometry once it goes to angle. So when we install it, we can look at that too. Just move it in a bunch of different places just to show like, hey, this does that, this does this. We're gonna go into depth because this is fun stuff that I've recently learned and gotten better with. So if I can teach you guys, we'll all grow quicker. It'll look good. Then all the boys can be having some cool Mustangs. Now, for the pretty part, got some control arms here. Really excited about these guys. The quality on that, dude. My God, dude, you're not bending that. You know what I mean? You see in the old ones that they used, some people will send them back and this part was folded down or even ripped off. This is made stout. You're not gonna have an issue with this one. And two, you got mounts here, these 3 holes to mount your sway bar to. So you can have all the adjustment you want for pickup location. Changing that too is also going to get you different tension on your sway bar too, to react like you want a stiffer bar, softer bar. It's up to you. Some people don't even run a bar. I will be running a bar, but for right now, we're just going to keep it basic, and we're going to walk together and show why you do things to make the car drive better. So this is going to start out as basic and like a easy how-to, and then every upgrade from this on is going to be, this is why you do this, because now the car won't do that. So yeah, last part I want to talk about too is the spring rate that we're going to run. I traditionally like to run like a medium to stiff spring rate. Do it for my demo cars. I'm going to do it for this car. You can the spring rate is going to change a lot of the drive. And we're going to run an 18K for the front, plus our stock sway bar for now, just to get that front to kind of dig out a lot harder, even though we aren't really going to need it because we already kind of grip up a little too well. But hey, you know, it's prepped for the future. So from this point on moving forward, front end, we don't have to touch it. Just keep adding more power, keep adding grip in the rear, and we'll always be able to boogie. All right, that seems to be the whole kit. So we're gonna go get into disassembling. But this was pretty easy. This side was just a 18 castle nut. Took it off. Make sure you got your pickle fork. Shove it in there. Beat it in all the way. And then once you beat it in, knock around this until it vibrates itself loose. And then one hit on the top, falls right out, no problem. We're going to take the coilover off now. These are two 15/16, and then on the other side it should be the same. Take these 2 through bolts out, pull the coilover off, 3 bolts on the top, and then coilover comes out. Took the caliper off, caliper bracket, 2 bolts are 15 millimeters. On an impact, shallow socket with a swivel, worked no problem. And yeah, we're gonna clear up all this, that way we can get to this castle nut here, bust this one off with a pickle fork again, and then there's the 2 inner bolts, and then the control arms out, and this thing is freed. And of course the sway bar, we'll get the sway bar out of here too. So we got one side hooked up right now, just to try to get like an idea, mock up for it. There is some things that we're gonna do here just for the learning purpose of why you change the things that you do in drifting. So what we do have here is running this stock, quote unquote stock, the BC caster camber top hats in this, instead of running these billet ones, because running the billet ones, there's a little bit of modification I'm gonna have to make to the inner strut tower, not to the tower specifically, but just to make a little bit more clearance. So we're going to change that later, not yet, but also with that, we are going to be changing the fenders, because as you can see from the lining here and from where we are sitting at about straight, is that that's how much forward we're gonna have to cut out of this thing to be able to get the wheel clearance to be clear where we want it to. So we're gonna do some over fenders. Haven't decided on what kind of fenders to run yet, but we will be changing fenders. So in the meantime, before we do that, or when we do that, we'll change the caster plates and all that to see how this is gonna run. But angle kit is on, and this is where I can get to show you a lot of different things. Now, first thing that a lot of people are gonna be noticing, for the non-Fox body people or of this chassis that don't know, but this angle here of the strut looks a little hardcore. So what this is gonna be adjusting your caster. Now, over here, we'll look at how the spindle is designed from factory, that it is clocked at an angle, because they know that the angle that comes out of these, the strut coming out of here, is at such an absurd angle to get the achievement of caster that they want. They slant the spindles to compensate for that. So in mounting, it angles it even harder. So does this actually change your caster? It does and it doesn't. It doesn't change it as gnarly as it looks like it is, but this right here is gonna probably be setting us around 10 degrees. I'll know once we throw it on an alignment rack what it actually is giving us. But for right now, the reason why I think I want to try it, maybe I'm gonna throw it in a sim tonight to know for sure. But once we go to full angle here, full lock, if you look at the pitching of the wheel here, that this is going to have very little contact patch here on the ground. So that's good and bad. There's two ups and downs to always doing that. But what this is your kingpin angle, which, by the way, this is one of the lower ones that you can buy on the market for lower kingpin angle. This gives you some benefits and some downsides. So if you are ripping a backy, and let's say like cars this way and you are scrubbing to try to dig off, you are now having a high point of traction going onto this side of the wheel. So it's almost using it like a scrub, like it's trying to slow it down this way, which would dig the car out and pull it back out straight. But also what that's gonna do is an angle too, is gonna give it a little bit more push. Well, that's cool, like we'll rock it. We're gonna do some things to change that later on. Once we do change the strut angle to come up more with the billet plates, that's gonna then pick the strut up, changing the caster trail and changing our caster altogether to take caster out of it and give it more caster trail, which will then pick this wheel up, helping the drive out of it a lot better. But what this will do is gonna make it dig a lot harder. Upsides and downsides to this is that having the high dig out of this, it'll make a piss load of traction in the back, which might make it three-wheel, might not, I don't know. We do have a sway bar hooked up. It is not beefy, it is just a stock bar, so I don't know what it's gonna do per se, but I say just for the fun of it, you know, this is all about learning, this is all about trying different things. We are going to try to run this like that, see what it does in drift. And I mean, this car's already hooked up a lot, so this might be a really bad idea and not help out, but this will show you how in drift, having it to where it does this hard dig, why people are able to push even more horsepower out of a car than the 500 that this car is making and go even faster. And then the downsides to it, that then you don't get much front drive out of the car. Going around a corner, you're gonna lose it. The plate now, however, Synergy gives you the option to where you can run your different kinds of setups. It is preferred to run that billet mount because then you have good drive out of the front end, and you also still get that dig out because of the way the control arms are designed with the sway bar pickups. This points here of the pressure it adds to your control arm is going to cause more digging here. And what that also does with caster and the kingpin angle is that this is what's going to cause the jacking of the car. So as it rotates the car, it's going to pivot the front corners like this. Our demo cars and our comp cars are like that, to where it has a lot of jacking in it whenever it does rotate. Demo cars a little more than the comp car, but that's going to cause more bite to the rear end. So when it does jack, picture it picks up this corner and turn the drifting this way. Now this back corner here on the chassis then ends up getting harder drive, so it's digging out of the corner harder over here. This is like an old setup that was running, like RTR would run it like this back in the day in like 2017, where they had hard angle and the dig out of them. That's when they were holding huge 3 wheels and was, I mean, they looked really fast. It's just the car was really hard to drive. So this is kind of for educational purposes, and 2, I kind of just want to try it because I've always wanted to try it. So now that I have said opportunity, why not, you know, bug around and find out. It's the name of the game. So we're gonna leave it with the stock caster plates for now until we change fenders. But back to the install of this in here. Here's a pro tip for you guys. The bolts that are in here on a stock car come in this way. So whenever you're taking them out, it hits on this steering rack here pretty bad on the boots. So normally most people have to take the boot off, have to figure out a way to put it back on. Well, the way to avoid that is after you get the bolt out, put the bolts in going this way and this way, because then all you got to do is put the nut on. You don't have to remove this bolt out of the subframe or back here. You don't have to remove this one, and you don't have to do some weird stuff to be able to get it to clear that tie rod boot. So if you ever do have to take your control arms off, it's nice and easy. And yeah, whenever you're building a drift car and you know that you're probably gonna have to be taking it apart often, make everything as nice and easy as you can, because there's gonna be times like you're out there in an event and you're like, man, I wanna get back on track. I gotta tear this apart, do this and that. You'll be able to get to it easy, but I don't think anything here in the front suspension is going to cause us an issue where we are kind of need to be tearing it apart unless we do something really dumb. And who knows, we might do something pretty dumb. But hey, it's all part of the game, bro. It's drifting. We're out here to party. So this is the first setup for this car. We're gonna go for a bunch of different trial and errors with this car, just to teach you, teach me. We'll learn together and we'll grow together this year. 2026 is for learning. So this is the setup. We'll see how good it does in drift. Might have fun with it. We might keep it for a second until we end up trying tandem and then realizing it's gonna suck in tandem and then changing those top plates. But thank God, Synergy provides some really beautiful artwork here. And this is gonna be the key to fixing that in the future, but we're making predictions. We're gonna try out some stuff and we're gonna have some fun, boys. All right, we tested it out on the floor to see what it looks like for ride height wise, and dude, we are dumped, son. Like, look at the rake on this thing. I know I should that the rear is gonna go lower than this. Obviously, this is all the way extended right now, but that front is just ungodly too low for right now. So we're gonna raise the ride height up just a little bit, get it to where, you know, we have some actual room for the tire to actually move towards the fender and not just demolish itself on this now new sharp edge, which by the way we're gonna clear off. Don't worry, don't get your panties in a wad. And two, what that's gonna do is help me out from this problem right here. Windshield wiper fluid is right here in the wheel well. And I am still gonna street drive this car. So I don't exactly wanna get rid of my windshield wiper fluid. So I kinda wanna keep it. So, I don't know. I say I'm gonna keep it. Who knows though, I could just come over here, hand glass clean, you know, get rid of it. Man, I just made myself change my mind. All right, no, this is what we'll do. This is what we do. Figured it out. I'm a genius. We're going to take the ride height up, run it as is for this setup like it is. And then when we do over fenders and then we do the camber caster plate, or not the camber caster plate, the Synergy caster plates. When we do these and then we do the bigger spring rate, then that's when I'll slam it again, because with 18K spring rate on this car setup, should not move much. This is what I'm guessing. So remember, this is all just spitballing, so we'll see what happens. But we're gonna run the 18K later, that whole setup, and then we'll drop it down to about this ride height. That way we could be out here stunting. What's good, Stancy boys. We'll end up putting a lower end spring in the rear too. That way we could really be nice and dropped and looking good. But for right now, for the first drift event, and for how we're gonna try it out for the first time, I threw this setup in the game. Bro, let me tell you, it was fun. Like, it was enjoyable. It's probably one of my favorite cars in the game right now. So the sim setup said approved. Let's try it this way, see what happens. And then if in real life we say no, then you guys get to learn why you don't want it sitting here at a cruising angle, and why you can then move this strut up to about right here. And that's really gonna take a lot of that caster out. I mean, it only technically gives you benefits, but I also too just really have always wanted to try it. So, you know, catch 22, let's send it.